How's it going, everyone? I am IAmPattyJack, and welcome to something different, something that I don't normally do. We're doing movie reviews. I've done a couple of these in the past, but never one quite like this, and I'm not alone today. And I've instructed my co-host to be silent right now, but I'm going to let him speak, and I'm going to let him out of his verbal cage, and he's going to introduce himself very quickly here. So go ahead, good sir, please do that for me.
Okay, well, first off, you didn't tell me to do anything. I decided to be a good Samaritan and shut the hell up for once
It was
and
implied.
let you do all the talking. I'm Naruki, though, and as my Star Wars expertise certificate, I guess if you want to call it that, is I'm playing through each and every single Star Wars video game ever made. And I would say that kind of puts me on the qualifying list because you know, uh, even if you don't know anything about Star Wars going into it, you still learn a lot just by playing the games. And I did know a lot about Star Wars before even doing my marathon. So, yeah,
See, that's the reason I brought you in, too, because I was like, well, this guy lives, eats, and breathes and sleeps Star Wars, and,
that's right.
you
I
know,
drink blue milk every day.
yeah, exactly. I'm very interested in the lore and everything myself, too, but I always like to get, like, other opinions going in there, and I find that when we
Yeah.
do these reviews and stuff, we have kind of, like, usually conflicting ideas about the big things, but very similar ideals and thoughts on smaller things, which I find is really interesting and weird, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing today is kind of just talking about Rogue One a little bit, because we've both seen it now. I saw it last night. I think you might have seen it on opening night, if I am correct in presuming.
Yeah, Friday night. I got out of the movie theater at 1 in the morning on Saturday, and that totally screwed up my sleep schedule, but it was worth it. Oh my god, was it worth
Yeah?
it?
Okay, awesome. So we're going to get into that quickly, but before we do, we're not doing spoilers for the first part of this review, and then this part will be just talking about, like, the movie in general. We're not going to be spoiling anything or anything like that until the second half, where we'll clearly say, like, yo, we're going into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet or anything like that, then you don't want to be spoiled on it, then we'll tell you when we're going to start talking about that stuff so you can click away. But if you have seen the movie, we will be going into that more detail, like cameos and all that crap, later on. So,
Yeah.
that'll be a thing that happens. So, the first thing that I do want to ask you is, what do you think in general of the movie? Was it a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
It was two thumbs up. As
Two
I
thumbs
said
up.
earlier, I'm a huge Star Wars buff, and no spoilers, but I could not find anything that really stood out to me that I could really nitpick and be like, this is wrong or this is out of place. It was like the guys that made the movie, they certainly did their homework, and it shows, and I love it. I love it.
The thing with this movie is, like, if you're going into it and expecting it to be exactly like every other Star Wars movie, then I
You're
don't
gonna be
think,
wrong.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna get that. That being said, though, when I was watching it, there was no point where I thought it wasn't Star Wars, like it didn't take
Oh
place in the
yeah.
same universe, and they did a really good job on that. Like you were saying, everything looks like it did way back in
Mhm.
like the original trilogy. They did a
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic job. All the costume designs, all the Star Destroyers, and everything that was in the movie looked fantastic. Of course, the AT-ATs from the trailers and all that stuff, they looked really
Uh,
good. There's some nice twists thrown in there
I,
as
I would
well.
like to interrupt here. They're
Go.
actually AT-ACPs because they're
Oh,
cargo transports, not assault transports. That's
that
why they.
explains why they looked
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. I had no idea. See, I'm learning
Hmm.
things. This is why I bring in other people, because they correct me on things when I'm not
Yeah.
nerdy enough.
Don't worry. I look out for you when you're trying to make yourself a fool.
Yeah, you're like the Force Ghost.
I
You're
got
the
you. I
Obi-Wan
got
to
you,
my
fam.
Luke right now.
There you go.
I
That's
love it.
romantic.
Yeah. So, yeah, in regards to that, it looks like you're in a Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah. There's Rogue One takes away what a lot of people associate Star Wars with, and that is the Force, Jedi, lightsabers. And while Rogue One does away with that, it doesn't take away the feel of, yes, this is Star Wars. Yes, I am in my favorite sci-fi universe. The entire movie. Um, And I honestly think that taking away the Force almost completely and taking away lightsabers almost completely, it definitely adds a lot to the story as a whole, because there's not a lot of like the Jedi mysticism and uh,
There's
you
no
know the
grand ideals apart from, hey, we're rebels, really.
exactly, and it like everything feels worn down and used, and not dark and gritty isn't the word that I want to use because it's a PG-13 movie and it's
Hmm.
not rated R. Um, but like if you look at the stormtroopers, for example, they're not like polished white shiny like
Hmm.
they were in the other four. These are like used. They've been through combat. Their armor is battle hardened, and uh not every stormtrooper looks like that, obviously, but a majority of them,
Any of them that
they
were down in
certainly.
the cities or anything like that, they always looked like that,
Exactly.
like it gave you
Yeah.
the big feel that this was like an occupied region of space.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah.
these stormtroopers were in there occupying planets, people were resisting against them, and what they did with the Rebel Alliance in this movie, I absolutely loved. That
Oh yeah.
was it.
Absolutely.
They gave them a way different feel than you ever thought. They're not just anymore like the good guys fighting the bad guys. There's a reality to it, that
Oh
there's
yeah.
that they're freedom fighters. They're fighting this guerrilla warfare against other people, and they succeeded so well, especially in the battle scenes, making it feel like you're
Oh
watching like a
yeah.
World War II movie or a Vietnam War movie or something like that, right?
Yeah, and
And that was the
there
highest
was
point of the movie.
sacrifice too.
Exactly. They were willing to really go and take it into a place that you'd never seen before. Because aside from like the prequels where we saw those huge, large scale battles, which kind of those kind of just looked like a CGI battle, right? They
Yeah.
looked like what you'd imagine a sci-fi battle to be, but they took so much like real world conflict elements and then put them into the fight scenes in this movie that I really, really appreciated.
Oh yeah. I gotta say, Star Wars is typically associated with lightsaber duels,
Hmm.
obviously, because Jedi and whatnot. But I gotta say, Rogue One had one of the better, if not the best, fight scenes out of any of the movies, and there wasn't a lightsaber to be seen at all.
I
So,
think that the third act in this movie is probably one of the best acts in any Star Wars movie ever.
oh, easily. Oh yeah, Um, I want to compare it to Episode 3. Just for a quick second, I know I'm comparing Rogue One to a prequel, but hear me out on this. When I was playing, or when I was first watching Episode 3, I knew what was going to happen. Everyone was going to die. Vader was going to get burned. Um, like the galaxy is going to be turned upside down. The bad guys are going to win. I knew that, but at the same time, I still felt like um, there was some hope, that the protagonists were going to win, and that is certainly what I felt like. The desperation towards the end of Episode 3, uh, it the third act in Rogue One definitely reminded me of that. There's like frantic desperation.
Trying to somehow escape alive and keep hope
Exactly.
alive for what's coming up next afterwards.
Exactly. Like you're rooting for the protagonist, even though that things may not turn out so well for them. Obi-Wan went to exile. Vader got well done. Um, well
Well
done in, I
done.
guess. Well done in. I don't know.
Don't order the
Um,
Vader in a restaurant. It comes it's pretty tough to get through,
oh God, Patty. Oh boy. Oh
dude.
dear.
It's the
Hey.
summer's hottest meal trends. I don't know. Yeah, the third act in that movie I loved. And it's
Oh yeah.
unfortunate to me though because the first act and most of the second act I wasn't as interested in. That part I actually
Eh,
kind of struggled to. To me it felt like the movie was like all the entire movie was waiting to get to the third act.
oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the impression
Well.
I got.
Mm, yeah. I think the first act was more trying to set up and like trying to hurry up into the second and third acts.
Exactly. It felt
You know,
very rushed to me. Like I understood everything they were trying to do, but it felt like it went too quickly. You know, I never
yeah,
got
and
that emotional connection to the characters leading into the third act. Like it never quite got there for me.
yeah, you can definitely argue that, but to me, I think it's the fact of the medium or the medium where it's just too short, not long enough, but at the same time not too short. Uh, like they did definitely could use some exposition in there, like character development and all that. But at the same time, if you analyze it, Jin's motives. Like the motives of the rebels, and they clearly stated like, here's why we're here, here's what we're doing, and there's nothing in the movie that is pointless, like just there for filler. There is nothing like that there. Like in episode 7, the biggest problem that I had with episode 7 was the tell that to Kanji Club scene.
Yeah.
Like that entire chapter of the movie was just like
The only purpose it
it
served was to
hardly
get
felt
them
like
onto the
Star
Millennium
Wars to me.
Falcon and away from the freighter with Han Solo.
Yeah,
And it took
yeah,
so
and
long to do
it's
that.
like
It's kind of like Jabba's palace in the sixth movie, right? The entire purpose was
kind
to
of.
get everyone back together again.
Yeah, but it's just like, what was the point of that scene? Like I I don't know, but I digress. There was nothing like that at all in Rogue One.
Yeah,
Like there was no filler whatsoever.
yeah, I get that. I think what I was personally looking for, and the movie that I compare this one to is oddly enough Guardians of the Galaxy,
Really?
because well, I'm saying in regards to the characters and how in Guardians how the entire squad of characters kind of came together and slowly
Mm.
started liking each other, right, and slowly made a connection with each other. I don't feel like
Mm.
I got that in this movie, and I felt like if that had happened, like there had been a scene where they're all sitting down and then they finally understood each other or something like that, then it would have made the entire third act just a little bit more emotional for me. I would have been a bit more invested in it rather than just seeing
Yeah.
like the coolest battle I'd ever seen.
Yeah, but at the same time, they didn't have any reason to not hate each other.
Yeah, and I
Like,
think that could have been like overcoming that hate or something. I don't know. That's always something I love to see in movies because it gets me to like the characters more. Because there was a couple of
yeah,
characters where I still never even had that inclination to kind of support them.
yeah, but to counter that, like the entire story, uh, they were on a severe time crunch. Like
Hmm.
everything that they did was on a timer, and I think that that timer, everyone understood what they were fighting for, and they could set aside their differences and not let their personal interests conflict because then everyone knew that they had to cooperate with each other whether they liked it or not. And
Yeah, I that's like it's a
like
good point.
there was no yeah there was no time to sit down and talk about things unless you're like traveling from planet to planet in hyperspace, maybe. But other than that, it's like, I don't have to like you, you don't have to like me, but we have to get this mission done, for the good
Yeah,
of the galaxy.
that's a good point. I think what I'm looking for is more of a general Star Wars movie, and that's what I was kind of like missing a little bit. And that's not to say it's bad or that I didn't enjoy it. And this is something because I wrote my review for this morning about the movie and everything. And my takeaway from it after I slept on it last night was that I feel like I'm going to appreciate this movie a lot more in 5 years
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, definitely.
because when I went into that movie and I'm seeing Star Wars for the first time as imagined by someone who had like a lot more creative freedom than anyone else ever has with it,
Mm.
like the director had his own vision of the movie that he wanted to make in Star
Yeah.
Wars,
Yeah,
so
he definitely had his own interpretation of it, but in terms of creative freedom, he definitely had some questions that needed to be answered. And I'm
mhm.
not going to talk about those questions yet, but um, Jar Jar Abrams, he had a lot more creative freedom,
Mhm.
a lot more,
Yeah, and he
and
but he chose to make it more like a traditional Star Wars movie.
I Episode 7 felt more like a fanfic, but Rogue One felt like an
See,
honest to
I
God
disagree. I
Star
think
Wars
this one
movie.
felt more like a fanfic personally. Not that
Really?
that's bad. I'm not using fanfic as like a derogatory term for it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
to me this one felt like someone who knew Star Wars but was better at
Mm.
something else, making their movie in the Star Wars universe. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like with like I'll appreciate it more in 5 years or so when say the Han Solo spin-off comes out or something because what this movie did really well is it was the first one to take that risk and take that jump of making a movie in the Star Wars universe that isn't like a straight like this is a Star Wars movie, like this is episode
Yeah.
4, this is episode 7, right? They took
Yeah.
risks and they made their movie in Star Wars, so there was no screen wipes or anything like that, like and
You keep
that was
pointing that
freaky to
out.
me. That was freaky to me, man. It bothered me the entire movie because it didn't quite feel like Star Wars. The opening crawl was abandoned, things like that, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it that's nothing. None of that's really bad. It's
Yeah.
just different. And as someone who's really into Star Wars and hasn't seen that before with a Star Wars movie, it's really jarring. However, when the next spin-off movie comes out, the Han Solo one, whatever ones come after that, if they make whatever genre they decide to do, I'm going to be more accepting of it as time goes on. But this one had to be the first one to take that big risk. It had to be the first one to like break the mold of Star Wars movies. And while my
Yeah.
brain might not appreciate it right now, in 5, 10 years time, when more movies have done similar things with that universe, then I think I'm going to like it a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I definitely am happy that they named it Rogue One, a Star Wars movie or a Star Wars story,
Yeah.
instead of like Star Wars Rogue One
Mm-hmm.
or even like Star Wars Episode 3.5
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, because um, it separated things.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't another Star Wars episode. It had its own themes. It had its own characters and story.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it felt like it was something necessary, like it needed to be done. In
Yeah, it
uh,
opened the floodgates for the future, and I'm totally on board with it. And I think they did a wonderful job. Aside from the pacing issues, like I said, and aside
mm,
from a couple like omissions, like I think the screen wipes could have been kept in because it confused me. But again, in 5 years, ask me that again, I might have a different opinion on that, right? And that's a
yeah,
pretty minor nitpick. But yeah, other than the pacing and some of the characterization, I thought it was fine. I really liked it.
yeah.
And again, that third act
Um,
makes up for almost all of it because it was
oh yeah,
fantastic from start to finish,
seriously. Yeah,
easily.
and you can argue that an entire movie needs to be good and not just one act to save it. But I mean, seriously, if you haven't watched Rogue One, seriously go watch it because it's worth it just for the third act alone.
I think if you didn't
Um,
like The Force Awakens, you're gonna like this one a lot more.
oh yeah, oh
Because
yeah,
if you're someone who thought that it did too much, it's similar to like A New Hope or whatever. This one does nothing like that.
oh no, oh no.
Nothing like that.
But
Believe me, and
yeah,
it's very welcome. It's great. I
yeah,
love it.
but going back to what I mentioned earlier, like the fact that this was necessary, episode 7 wasn't necessary. It
Yeah.
was just expanding, and like to me, throughout the entire movie, when the first and only time I've seen episode 7, it felt like it was almost a cash grab. Like they were doing this to, I mean, sure, expand the Star Wars name, but at the same time, make a lot of money on the Star Wars license. And as someone playing through all the Star Wars games, there is definitely a lot of that there too,
Yep.
where it's just like crappy game trying to capitalize on the Star Wars license. Episode 7 honestly felt a lot like that too, but um, you know, Rogue One, it needed to be made because uh, in
It
the
took risks.
legends. Well, no, not just that, but like for story, for lore
Hmm.
sakes, uh, that there's a lot of different stories about how the Death Star plans were acquired, and I think there was like 5 different stories,
Yeah.
and
They
you
addressed it
know,
finally. And this is canon now.
yeah, well, the first time. Uh, that was ever mentioned was in Star Wars Dark Forces in 1995. I think maybe, don't quote me on this, but certainly one of the first times. It was in Dark Forces, and it was literally just the first story. Go in the secret Imperial base and steal the Death Star plans, and that's it. Like that's just the first mission. Um, and there's like different books and comics about stealing the Death Star plans. None of them were as intense and as important as Rogue One, because Rogue One was a movie. If you're a Star Wars fan, you watch the movies. You don't just read the books or just play the games. You also watch the movies.
It makes the fourth movie now seem a lot more desperate in comparison to.
Oh my god!
Like the next time I watch that movie, we can talk about that later. I'm gonna have an entirely different viewpoint on it. Yeah, no, we can. We'll talk on that when we get into spoilers and stuff.
Yeah, but this movie completely changes Episode 4 in a way that the special editions could not have hoped to achieve.
Yeah,
and that says a lot, because a lot of people consider A New Hope to be one of the best Star Wars movies.
Yeah. Where would you rank this one on the scale of Star Wars movies, for your scale?
Right now, I would consider Rogue One to be, I would say, my top 3, easy. But give me a couple more times and a couple more viewings, and that may make it further down the list.
Yeah. I think for me
because
right now
like, oh my god, this is Star Wars, like it's Star Wars and it's good, and it's just
it's got its own ideas.
It's what it needs to be.
It's original.
In terms of storytelling and just like getting down to it, and like no holds barred, stuff like that. It's there with Knights of the Old Republic 2 in terms of story. And Knights of the Old Republic 2, I think, has the best story out of any video game, or Star Wars video game. Rogue One may have the best storytelling of any Star Wars movie, not by the actual plot, but the way it tells it. Because there's a lot of times...
I'm
going off a tangent here. What I love is when people tell stories without saying words.
Yeah.
So it's just
a picture tells 1,000 words type of thing.
Exactly. And a bunch of pictures tell several thousand words. I don't know.
I think it adds to it as well, because you see all the references that go into like A New Hope and everything as well, right? You know what's going to happen, but you see all this stuff and you're like, oh, that's how that connects. That's how that connects. And you're like,
exactly. Yeah, it ties everything together.
Yeah.
It ties everything together in a way that the prequels never did.
Absolutely. I think personally, I would probably rank this one as like, I don't know if I like it more or less than Return of the Jedi.
I think Return of the Jedi is still my number 1. And then episode 2 would be
interesting.
Yeah, and then episode 2 would be A New Hope, or not New Hope. This Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
and then I think it would be Rogue One, and then A New Hope. Well, I haven't seen A New Hope since Rogue One, so I don't know, honestly.
I've always been a big adamant fan of Empire. I think that's my number 1. And then,
there's definitely a lot of reasons to like Rogue One Empire, because it's a good movie from a movie point of view,
and that's what I'm basing it on.
And it's also a good movie from a Star Wars point of view, so it gets both of that right.
I go Empire, and then probably A New Hope, because it's classic in the first one. I actually put The Force Awakens above Return of the Jedi. I didn't
really.
Yeah, just for the reasons that other people don't like Return of the Jedi, the Ewoks and stuff, and Jabba's palace taking forever, things like that. So I'm kind of in that camp, and I really liked The Force Awakens as well. And because it was so close to a New Hope, I'm kind of okay putting it beside A New Hope. So that's kind of my reasoning behind that. That I don't know where I put Rogue One though. I'm gonna have to watch it a couple more times to see whether or not I consider it as better than Jedi.
Yeah.
So, but we all know the Ewok movies are the best. Let's be real. They're wonderful. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. Okay, should we get into spoilers?
I think we should. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do that. So anyone listening to this right now who hasn't seen the movie, doesn't want to be spoiled, right now we're doing spoilers. So,
Spoiler
leave.
alert.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Yeah, so that's
Yeah.
going to be a thing that happens. Okay. So, spoilers starting now. First thing,
Okay.
this is something that I hated in the movie and should never, ever, 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 ever happen again. Because I will let it slide, which is huge as well. Because this should not be a thing. Darth Vader made a goddamn pun.
He did. He
Fucking
did.
no. No. That is not allowed. Even in Star Wars Rebels, Darth Vader does not make puns.
That's true.
That's true. He is more badass in the freaking series than he is in this movie, excluding the second scene he's in, I guess. Because the scene he actually does shit is fucking amazing.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap. That was so baller. But yeah, no, he should never make a pun ever again. I was fine with that entire scene until that moment. And it was just, it bothered the hell out of me. Absolutely atrocious. I'm also still not convinced by their red eyes with him now. I'm not a huge fan of that.
No, that's something that they're doing in Rebels now too, aren't they?
It's been a thing since when like the Clone Wars series was partway through, the logos on the toys and stuff, because they use like Darth Vader's face started having that red tinge. I don't quite like it. I kind of get it, and it's starting to grow on me, because when I think about it, it's like, okay, the guy has like probably some retina technology in his eyes. And
he
that's,
does,
like,
and
some
you see
feedback,
that in episode
right?
3.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's gonna grow on me more. I'm getting more used to it, but it's still to me it takes away from Vader's black mystique. Like he's a dark, shadowy figure, but then to me it's odd. It makes him look like a spider, if that makes sense.
Really?
Like if you think about like a black spider or something, I could see with like red eyes, and then it has like all the little eyes inside the eyes or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. And to me, that doesn't scream Darth Vader. That screams like weird, cowardly bug man. I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes him feel almost even less human to me. It makes him feel more like the Terminator.
Kind of the point, isn't it?
I disagree with that. I think that Vader, the whole point of Darth Vader is that he is still human underneath it all. But
he is more machine than man.
I mean, yes, but like when you think about Darth Vader, right? He's a man wearing a machine. He's still human underneath. But when you give him red eyes, and that's something
when he makes the pun.
But yeah, but that's like when you give Darth Vader red eyes, which is what I'm talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
It makes him seem less human than he did with like the regular black eyes, because you don't associate people with red eyes.
True.
So to me it dehumanizes him more. It makes him a guy. It makes his mask and his like red eyes his character, rather than the person under him being his character still.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's completely nitpicky, and I'm totally fine with saying that, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll grow on me more. I don't know.
I think it certainly has for me, but I don't know.
Okay, so main characters. Give me the lowdown.
Okay, so I finally know the difference between Jyn Erso and Jan Ors, who is the character in Dark Forces and Jedi Knight.
Kyle
and it took me the longest time to figure out the difference between them. And even after watching the movie, they're kind of the same character almost. There's definitely a lot of inspiration that comes.
Yeah, kind of like how Kylo Ren and Revan almost, like design-wise and stuff. And Kylo Ren and Jason Solo a bit as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, Kylo Ren is definitely Jason Solo, just with a different name. But like the names, that's something I definitely didn't get out of Rogue One, is the names for people. Like,
that's something. Yeah, that I cannot remember any of the names other than Jin's right now. Like I
remember Jin's and Cassian's.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's about it. But
And that goes back to me saying, like, I never got that connection to those characters. Like, it never quite got there for me, that I remembered those names and cared about them. And I don't know if I'll get that again. If I wanted it more, I very much could. At this point, I never quite did, and that bothers me. Oh, also, have you seen the South Park movie?
No.
No.
I'm not South Park.
Everyone needs the French guy in this movie. Is
French guy.
The rebel guy that was like the killer, and then he becomes not the killer. I don't remember his name.
He becomes the killer and then not the killer.
No, the guy that shoots the guy that's with Jin at the end.
Oh, Cassian.
Yeah, that guy.
He's French?
It sounded French. He sounded like a French resistance fighter, and I think that's where the inspiration from his character came from. But in South Park, the movie, there is a character that is exactly the same.
Really?
This French resistance fighter, because the entire plot of the movie is them, like, subverting the U.S. Army as they go to war with Canada. That's all I could think about with that guy's character, and it bothered the hell out of me. Like, it was uncannily, like a similar voice actor and everything. It's really situationally nitpicky, but that bothered me.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like, oh god. He wanted to be like Kyle Katarn. But less like 80s action hero.
Yeah.
Which is what Kyle Katarn basically is. I totally forgot where we're going on here. Oops.
Lol, good job.
Yeah.
Love it.
You know.
Yeah, like the characters in general for me, I feel like I would have liked them if I had a little bit more time just getting to know them, you know? I never felt that connection. I liked the monk guy. I thought he was fun. He was probably the most lively character to me, which I didn't actually expect going into the movie. I thought the impression I got from the trailers and stuff was that, like, the pilot character was going to be, like, super outgoing or like, kind of weird or whatever. Kind of that archetype.
No,
and he wasn't. That threw me off a bit.
Yeah, well, with Jin, it's like, you kind of don't like her, but you don't, like, you don't love her, but you really don't hate her either.
Yeah, and that's how I feel with all those characters.
Yeah, so that, in my opinion, is good, actually, because it brings the story down to earth. It brings the story down to earth because, as I said earlier, you don't have to like each other. You don't have to, be best buddies, but you do have to get this mission done,
I feel like the audience has to like them, though. Because, like, when you get to the end of the movie, when they sacrifice you, when they're all dying and crap, I didn't actually feel anything when that was happening.
Yeah,
that's why I'm going back to it again. It's like I needed that extra characterization to be sad when the pilot guy gets blown up or when they're sitting on the beach or whatever. Like, it looked really great. I just didn't really care.
I felt bad with K2SO's sacrifice. Like that I think really got me.
Mm-hmm.
And once he died, eventually I was like, okay, yeah, this is what's happening now.
He was probably the most relatable character for the audience in the entire movie.
Oh yeah,
which is really weird when you think about it.
He was a comedic relief, but he's also like the closest to HK-47 that we're gonna get. I think.
Yeah,
and I love that. Like, I love his character. I was totally expecting him to maybe get away with it, but no. It's unfortunate. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, that being said, I love the fact that they had the balls to kill all of them off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, holy crap. That is fantastic.
I'm glad they died, too. Like,
yeah, it wouldn't make sense for them to live. And they realized that. And but they could have just retconned it and had them all, like, or at least some of them live or whatever. Like a Jin or so. It's just like somehow they're doing something else while the Battle of Endor's going on or some crap. But they're like, no, you know what? F it. These guys all die, and I'm good with that. That is like the ballsiest thing, and I didn't expect that from any company that's owned by Disney. I just didn't, because marketing, sequels, they can still do prequels, I guess, but they couldn't have all those characters together again. So they kind of be starting from scratch. So what's the point? So I'm fine.
Yeah.
But the idea that they had the balls to take a risk like that, along with the other risks, like how they filmed it like a war movie and everything as well, that impressed me.
Yeah, certainly.
It was wonderful.
Um, and going into the movie, I was like, this would be an amazing movie if it followed the plot similar to Halo Reach.
Yeah.
And in many ways it did.
Yeah,
In
no, it was very
many
similar.
ways it did.
I mean, to be fair, it's a plot line that's been told before. Like, this is by no means anything new, but it's new to anyone who's into, like, a Star Wars movie, because who the hell ever thought they would do that? You know?
Yeah.
Like, tell me 2 years ago, you know, when this movie was announced, that they were going to actually kill off every main character in a Star Wars movie. I'd be like, no. They ain't Game of Thrones in this.
Yeah, but no, they definitely did. And
I was convinced they were going to, like, tie this into Rebels somehow or something. And I guess they still might. I'm convinced that Jyn Erso is going to appear in Rebels at some point.
Probably. Saul Gareth is going to be...
Yeah, he was in the Clone Wars, right?
No, Rebels. I think. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he's in the Clone Wars as a young kid. That's what kicked off him being a crazy person.
I don't know. I'm honestly glad that there weren't too many references of the Clone Wars and Rebels in Rogue One, because I honestly do not like either.
Yeah, they had they had like mentions of the prequels and stuff, which was fine. I don't mind them acknowledging it and everything.
Yeah,
I think
but
this opens up
having
the door
in your face.
Yeah, what if like this opens up the door for like a Clone Wars standalone movie like this though? That'd be fantastic. Like another war style movie.
Mean?
Like a war movie like centered around like say Republic Commandos or something like that.
Oh,
that'd be fantastic. Because there is good lore in the prequel movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what got me into Star Wars.
Yeah, it's just that none of that good lore's in the movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really unfortunate. But like if they took like the Republic Commando book series or something and like drew inspiration off that, I'd be totally down.
Oh yeah.
Sounds great to me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just the entire thing felt desperate, you know, like from the get-go practically. You know, there was like the sense of urgency, and I think that's why I think that's why it was a good idea to get rid of the opening crawl and the screen wipes, you know. Like keep up the pace, and it definitely kept the pace very well. You know,
see, I think in the first act it was way too fast paced. Like not that there was action scenes and stuff, but just it never felt like there was a flow in it. It felt like everything was just this, and I was like, holy shit, what am I supposed to be taking in right now?
Yeah.
I felt like that part of the movie was very overpaced. There was too much going on, and it could have been slowed down a little bit. I don't know. There was something with the first third and the sixth of that movie that it didn't click with me until they kind of got to the end of them being on the rainy planet, I guess.
You do.
Yeah, around that time, I was getting into it. And I was like, okay, this is kind of getting, like, desperate and cool. Before that, though, it didn't quite click.
Yeah,
to me, at least. I loved the...
I don't know. It's interesting how they paced it all and how they did it all. It's different in a very good way.
Yes.
And I definitely think it was necessary, and it definitely made episode 4 a lot better.
Yeah, no, it definitely raised some really good points towards episode 4. The entire movie was obviously filling a plot hole from the other movies, which I think is also super ballsy and great. I love that they actually went for that.
I love that it answered 2 of episode 4's biggest problems.
Yeah.
And that was 1, why did the Death Star get attacked with only fighters? Well, we know now because all the fighters all the frigates and whatnot got blown the hell up at Scarif, and the frantic battle that had to have taken place there. Otherwise, you know, everything would have been lost.
Yeah.
And 2, why it took 2 proton torpedoes to go down this little hole to blow it all up.
Yeah.
And that was because it was sabotage, and that's
great. But there is the question, though. How did those proton torpedoes bend?
Force? I don't know.
I guess it has to, I guess that's what it would be. Luke used the Force for the first time. He bent the proton torpedoes into the thing. That was really weird. Okay, there is one thing that I noticed, though. So in episode 4, isn't there a line where Leia says, like, they're on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan?
Yeah, and that was kind of like Help. Help.
What do you mean?
Um,
Because she says that to Darth Vader in an attempt to like
yeah.
convince him, but because of this movie, they obviously they're not, because they leave a giant battle.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I think was a bit of an oversight there.
Well, it also is like, maybe they can get away with it still. Like a very,
It's not. I'm not.
very
Yeah, I'm not angry
last-ditch
about it or anything.
plan. Yeah, it's maybe.
I think that is the one thing they kind of let slip there. It's not a deal breaker, or it's not something major or anything. It fixes more than it breaks, so I'm fine with it. Can we talk about how good the Peter Cushing's freaking CGI was for Tarkin?
Oh god, yeah. I love that they didn't go around including Tarkin and including Leia and even Mon Mothma and Bail Organa.
Yeah, they look fantastic.
Age didn't matter in this movie, and the fact that they didn't sidestep that, the fact that they did include Leia, the fact that they did include Tarkin, and not just like have the back of their heads or like just a very
they went all out to CG the crap out of these guys.
Yeah, they absolutely went all out, and if they didn't do that, the movie would have been a hell of a lot weaker.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been way too like, oh, look, there's that guy we know. But it's like, hey, look, this guy's here. He's a main character. He's doing shit, It's set up Leia fine. I got that impression that you're talking about them not having, like, the back of their heads a little bit with the Leia one, but they did show her face at least.
Yeah,
but I did get that impression a bit, and I was like, oh, that's kind of corny. But...
yeah, but at the same time, they also had these guys sit next to real people, so...
yeah. Yeah, no,
take that for what you will.
That's fine. So I'm good with that.
The fact they did that and they didn't look too out of place is amazing.
No, I barely even noticed it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of CG in that movie, don't get me wrong. There was definitely less practical effects than in The Force Awakens.
Oh, yeah.
That was because there was a much larger scale fight going on, too. Like, a hell of a lot one. Oh,
yeah, there comes a point where practical effects reaches a limit.
Yes, and I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining about that at all. I didn't like that one scene where Saw was like interrogating the pilot dude. And that random alien was there. That just seemed kind of pointless to me.
Yeah, that definitely kind of was too.
It's like, why not what I would have done with that scene instead, because he's like a guerrilla warfare tactician, right? He's not above torturing someone, And using an alien for that is fine. But what I would have done is brought back like the old torture rack that like they put Han on in Empire.
Torture only gets you so far, though. And if you're a hardened Imperial, you're resistant to torture.
But he wasn't a hardened Imperial. He's a cargo pilot.
True, but still, like with the giant tentacle monster, it was like
it was weird. That thing looked out of place to me.
Oh yeah,
it didn't look like good CG. It's very hard to make things look like glistening like that, with tentacle monsters and make them look good. It was akin to the scene like in The Force Awakens where they're on the ship with Conja Club, and then those things pop out.
Even the names for those is just
they just didn't quite look like they fit in the movie, and I felt the same way for that.
That being said, though,
it's a 2-minute scene, so it doesn't bother me that much, but still,
yeah. I mean, I think that may have been the worst scene in the entire film, but something that small doesn't really matter. That being said, though, just the way the Imperials talked, especially the main antagonist, I forgot his name.
I don't remember his name either.
Krennic.
Yeah.
Krennic.
All right.
The way he talked, that was unequivocally Imperial.
Yeah.
Like there was no doubt about it, and I love how Imperials talk. And I definitely pay attention more as a aspiring voice actor to pay more attention to how people talk, and they absolutely nailed how everyone talks in Rogue One. So
still very
nothing
weird.
but praise.
When I don't know who pointed it out to me. I don't think it was you. Someone did recently that all the officers have English accents, or most of them do. Yeah. But then the stormtroopers don't.
Yeah,
That's weird to me.
It's to differentiate
The
the
plebs,
officers from
yeah.
the average people,
Yeah, I
you
guess
know,
they are like common soldiers that were recruited, like civilians that
or
were recruited.
conscripted.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that kind of makes sense, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's still weird. It's
I
very
don't
weird
know.
to me.
Yeah. It. I think it's good though. I honestly think it is.
The movie?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the
Oh,
entire thing.
yeah. Yeah, no, I enjoyed all of it. My favorite cameo ever was in it as well, with what's their
Oh,
faces from the cantina in episode 4. Because
yes,
anyone who
yes.
hasn't watched that movie a lot is gonna miss it. Like I mean, like
Oh yeah.
episode 4. If you haven't seen Star Wars
Also,
at least 3 times, you're probably not
mhm.
gonna notice it because
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's such an obscure thing to throw in there, and I was so happy, and
No,
it gave
I
way to
think
my
I think. Hang on. The most obscure thing that they could have added that made sense. Well, that they did just for giggles was the blue milk.
yeah,
I
no
love the
kidding.
blue milk in the beginning of the movie. Oh my god, it was great. It was great. I was so glad they did that. It was just like, here's a prop. Here's in the middle of the screen too. It's like
Hmm.
blue milk. Sure.
Yep. Why
Like
not?
there's such a story behind the blue milk too. Like with Mark Hamill, he was just like he always said how bad the blue milk tasted because
Yeah.
it was just like condensed powder
Yeah.
or stuff like that. It tasted super dry and super bad. And
That's
they,
awful.
they included blue milk in there in the same kind of cup too. I was so happy about that. It
That's
was great.
disgusting. I didn't even notice that, to be honest.
Oh, it was
Like
great. I loved it.
now that I'm thinking back to it, I kind of remember it, but it didn't click in my head. That's great. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, it's like yes.
Yeah.
Like these people, they did their homework. I'm so happy for that. You know.
Yeah, that's great.
Like,
I think and then this also gave way to what we were talking about last night. I choose this as canon now. The reason that
yes.
those Cantina guys had the death warrant on 5 systems is because they blamed Jadot's explosion on them. Because they obviously left before it exploded. That's what happened. Unequivocally. That is now canon. Wonderful. Love it. Okay. Is there anything else you want to go over? Is there any other thoughts or anything?
um. No, not really.
Now, did you want to see any other like cameos? I don't know, like the Emperor or anything like that.
No, the Emperor wasn't necessary.
Yeah, they mentioned
I
him a
think
couple
they did
times.
everything that needed to be done, and they didn't go overboard with stuff. You know,
Hmm.
like again, nothing was unnecessary.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything was there for a reason, and for a very purposeful reason too.
Oh, one thing I wasn't actually that impressed with Saw's character. I thought it was a little bit.
Yeah.
There was something missing from his character to me. I don't know. There was something weird with him, and I
Mm.
didn't like that he decided to just like not leave.
Yeah, that was
That made
kind of
no
odd.
sense to me because they had a lot of time. They were taking their
Oh, yeah.
sweet time getting out of there. And
Yeah.
he was just like, no, I have to stay. It's like, why? You're a
Oh.
tactician and a war hero. Come
'Cause-
help
'cause
us.
The writer can't think of anything else.
It was, to me, that was a weird thing. I don't know why. Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know either.
His character was easily you could easily write him out of the story too. Because, because he was doing his own
Oh yeah,
mission ops and
like
everything, right?
there's the
He
Rebel
could escape
Alliance
with the
and-
rebels for a while, have another disagreement, then just go off and do his own thing again. You could write him out of the original trilogy pretty easily. I didn't think
Well,
it was necessary
it
to get
also
rid of him.
gives perspective, I think, to the Rebel Alliance because, like, here's what Saw Gerrith is doing, a lot more violent, and
Yeah.
the Rebel Alliance, they were trying to be peaceful at first,
Yeah,
you know, and they definitely weren't as brutal. Like, they didn't resort to torture,
No.
immediately, which is what Saw Gerrith did.
Yeah.
So yeah,
eh. I don't know. Maybe I'll like him more if I read up more about him and stuff. I'll have to go watch the Clone Wars episodes with him because he was definitely there as as a younger guy. I remember seeing the episodes, and then they were like taking back a city or something, and he wanted to be like super violent. Then they left the city in control with him or something.
yeah.
It was 100% there, and yeah, I guess he's going to be appearing in Rebels, so we'll learn a bit more about him there and stuff like that. Yeah.
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 I don't know. I honestly don't like the Clone Wars one bit. So
I have a soft spot
No.
for it.
I I don't know. I have a lot of problems with that, but that's a story for another day, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, my final thoughts, I liked it. If you didn't like The
I
Force
loved
Awakens
it.
that much, you're going to like this more, most
Oh
likely.
yeah.
I think it's got some pacing issues in it. I think there's a bit of lack of characterization, but as a whole, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I saw it. And
Yeah.
I think in the next few years, I will appreciate the movie a lot more than I do right now.
Certainly, yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that. I haven't watched episode 7 since it came out in theaters, but I am going to see Rogue One again very soon.
All right.
So, you know, say that for what it's worth, right?
I think Dem's two recommendations then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And as
Awesome.
a massive Star Wars fanatic, go watch this movie.
Yeah.
It's definitely on. It should definitely be on your to watch list.
Yeah. Also, if you're a Star Wars fanatic, go check out your stuff. Remind everyone what you do.
I am Naruki, and I play. Well, I'm playing through 73 different Star Wars video games. That is every game from 1983, I believe, to 2016. Uh, every single one. Right now, I am about to approach Battlefront. I'm just replaying Star Wars Dark Forces because Twitch deleted my VODs,
Wait, did you play?
unfortunately.
Yeah. Are you gonna play Connect?
Yes.
Yes. Let me
Yes.
know when you're doing that.
That is going to be the last game for the marathon.
Oh my god. I love it. I can't
But
wait.
yeah, come check out my content on YouTube, name's Naruki, and twitch.tv/Naruki. Hope to see you there.
Links to that in the description below. Don't worry about it. And you know who I am. You know what I do. If you haven't subscribed to my channel and this is like your first time here, subscribe.
Do that too.
Hit that bell button as well. As they say, smash that like button and that subscribe button. That's the new
Like, comment,
thing
subscribe
nowadays.
for more Star Wars.
Yeah, exactly. I don't do a whole lot of Star Wars stuff, but I kind of want to do more because I do like
Despicable.
Star Wars a lot, and people might not know that because I'm like, hey, here's Skyrim mods. Like that's not Star
you're
Wars.
definitely more of a Bethesda guy. So if you like Bethesda, go watch him. If you want more Star Wars, stay tuned.
Watching me as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Anyways,
Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate
thank you
it.
for having me.
Yeah. And yeah, I am PattyJack. I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Hope you do. Hope you have a really good day. Go get a glass of water or chocolate milk. That sounds
I'm
fantastic.
gonna have a glass of blue juice.
Yeah,
That's
blue
what I'm
milk.
gonna have.
Throw some food
Blue
coloring
juice,
in it.
blue milk, same thing.
Yeah, it'll work.